at school. I moved probably 12 times in the first 13 years of my life, where I'd sit down for lunch and just eat by myself. It felt scary and lonely and kind of sad at times. So I lost him at a really young age. 20 years old, I had cancer.
Welcome to another episode of Zayzo Stories, and this time I have Matt. Matt is one of my closest buddies, one of the oldest buddies in this company that I worked with. So thank you very much, first of all,
Of course.
for being a part of this. And today's conversation is mostly around not your wins. We know how awesome you are. It is to tell the whole world that it's okay to be vulnerable, but you should fight. It's not okay not to fight. I'm gonna have a series of questions for you, but before we dwell into that, do you want to talk about something which was like rock bottom for you, a story, and then how did you come out of it?
Yeah. I know a lot of things come to mind, but I think about, what kind of shaped me into who I am is really my upbringing. So I grew up moving a lot. So I was always the new kid at school. I moved probably 12 times in the first 13 years of my life. And so growing up in that kind of way, I feel very alone at times. I can remember walking into school on the first day at a new school every single year. You don't know anybody. You feel really insecure. It's challenging being a child at that time, trying to navigate. You want to make friends. You want to sit with other people. You want to feel accepted. But I didn't often, right? And so there was a lot of times when I was young where I'd sit down for lunch and just eat by myself and wander around the school and try to make friends with people, but it was always very challenging. And then the next year I'd have to start over and do it all over again. And that, I think, really stuck with me. And it wasn't until I was probably like 13 or 14 where I got a little stability in my life. And for the first time, I got to make friends and have a circle of people who I could trust to some extent and would be with me. But those times, they've stuck with me a lot. And there's good things and bad things about it. I mean, the bad things about it is that I had to live through it. It felt scary and lonely and kind of sad at times. The upside of it is that I learned how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That is
like being by yourself and
it's not wrong. I think.
Having to try to fit in with folks that you don't know, and you try to make connections with people. You grow an appreciation for others and the way that what they're going through and how you want to connect with them. And so it served me really well later in life, I think, because now I can walk into any room in really any circumstance and I don't feel uncomfortable anymore, because those experiences kind of all added up to the point where you kind of become a chameleon.
Yeah.
And so you are a person, but depending on who you're around, you may be a different type of person.
Yeah.
And that's an odd skill to have when you become an adult, because it helps you relate to different people and different circumstances and different scenarios that may be happening. But that was definitely a challenging time for me. But going back, I wouldn't change it. It really made me who I am.
Who wrote you off first, you or the world?
I have to say myself, because when you're trying to fit in with everyone else and you're trying to appease others and you're trying to be in that chameleon mode, you don't really know who you are in a way.
Right.
And so as I got older, I started realizing that I had a lot of skills and I was personable and I could make friends easily, but I didn't really know how to translate what I had experienced into something that I wanted to be when I grow up. And so I had to find that. It took time. I remember being, 17, 18, 19 years old, and I always knew I wanted to be successful, but I honestly never thought I would have the chance to be successful. I always thought that I was going to die at a very young age. Kind of a strange thing, but I wrote myself off almost because of that. And so I always figured that I'd only make it to 30 or 35. I couldn't tell you why. If I had to trace it back, it probably had something to do with my grandfather dying in a tragic way when I was 6. And my dad was a great dad, but he was not around when I was 0 to 12. He was out working hard, doing his thing.
Yeah.
And so my grandfather, spent a lot of time with me and raised me. And so I lost him at a really young age.
I'm so sorry.
And so I think that did something to me. And so I always felt like my time would be short, or time could be short. And so I had a very simple outlook on life. My goals were basically find somebody to love, have a family, and that's it. That was really all I expected. And so for that kind of odd reason, I kind of wrote myself off in a way because I didn't think I'd have enough time in this world to do anything else. That's how I felt when, those are the thoughts that I had laying in bed at night when I was like 9, 10, 11. It was like, what do you want? So I wanted to have kids who would remember me and a wife who would love me. So
I'm pretty sure, I think I know this in my heart that your wife and your kids absolutely love you. But one thing I think you know, but I want the whole world to know, is that your team, every single one on your team, including me, we love you. You are such an amazing human being and such an amazing leader. You've changed life. And I'm sure when this goes live, you know, you will get so much love from everyone around the world. So what did rock bottom look like to you on a Tuesday afternoon, and what did you do to come out of it?
Professionally or personally?
Both. I mean, you can dwell on one of those stories.
Because there's definitely two sides of it. But personally speaking, oddly, my fears of not living long came true in some way. But when I was 20 years old, I had cancer. So I had oral cancer, so I'm missing a portion of my tongue. To be a young person, it's pretty hard to deal with. You know, you kind of think about all these things like, am I going to be able to speak again? Am I going to be able to eat like in a normal way? Am I going to survive it? Like, what is it going to be? You know, I remember going to the doctor. I didn't even tell my parents because I was like afraid to. And I had like, you know, just like this situation going on. I had like pain on my tongue and I knew something wasn't right. And like many humans, like I ignored it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then finally I was like, okay, I convinced one of my friends to take me to the doctor, like to an oral doctor. They did a biopsy of it. And then a week later they called me and they told me that it was cancerous. And
oh my God.
I didn't expect to hear that, obviously.
Of course.
And so personally, that was my rock bottom moment. You know, I had to reevaluate everything that I did, which was very strange because like I didn't smoke and, you know, I was a kid, so I would drink occasionally.
That must be hard.
But wasn't really anything to do about it, except for bad genes, mostly. And so that was a hard time. So I went through my surgery, went through some treatment, obviously survived it, still here. Came back 5 years ago or so. Actually, I just hit my 5-year mark. So I'm officially cured again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And, you know, I think a lot of people can learn from you, Matt, because cancer could freak people out. And I think they die in their heads before they actually physically die. But, you know, glad to see a survivor over here and, you know, being CMO of a company at the moment, you know, so there's absolutely hope in life for everyone. I think part of you thought that the world was right about you, and how did you change it?
I'm like a sponge for people's emotions and thoughts and feelings. So if I'm observing things in the world, it personally, like I feel emotions because of it. But I also know that like in those moments, usually people will fixate on the negative item. Like there's usually one thing that may happen, or one interaction or some circumstance that leads to some feeling of the world writing you off. And you can kind of go down that rabbit hole and get stuck there.
Right.
It's very easy. And it happens to everybody. It certainly happens to me. But I try to make sure to remember that there's all kinds of people in the world that are struggling in those exact same ways.
Yeah.
And if you really look at it, like there's more people that love you than not. And usually we're our own worst enemies. So the things that are going on in the world where you feel like the world might have written you off,
yeah,
are likely not true in any way, shape, or form. They're really constructs of our mind. Of like,
so you're saying it's more you than the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, it can feel like the world is doing that to you, but like, it's really not. It's really the perception that you have and the things that you choose to focus on.
Yeah.
Because what you choose to focus on, it becomes the world, right? Like your world is what you make of it.
100% agree with you. I've been there, undermined, and you're the only one who can fight back out of it. No one else can.
Yeah.
You know, building on top of that question. So while you were building yourself back up, whole process, was it a loud one? Was it like something that was quiet, or were you like waiting for someone to come shake you up? How did you come out of it?
It wasn't loud, that's for sure. I'm kind of a steady person. When I want to do something, it all starts in here, right? And so the only way that you can do that is every single day, you have to just take one little step forward and another little step forward. I'm not like the Incredible Hulk and I'm going to leap across the entire city, right? In like one bound. And so for me, it was more quiet and sustained. People probably didn't notice until, you arrive. To be honest though, like I don't really think about myself. It's kind of an odd way to answer the question.
Okay.
Like I don't really do things for me. Like I do things for other people. I do things for my family. I do things for my friends. I do things for my colleagues. I do things for the construct of business and success. But I'm not a selfish person. I don't really think of myself as like, I have to get to this place to be happy. I am here in a way to serve the needs of the world around me in whatever that may mean and whatever circumstance I'm in. I'm steady and just trying to help wherever I possibly can.
That is beautiful. I know that personally, Matt, because I've worked with you long enough, that you are a selfless man. You have done so much for your team around you, and I've spoken to your team members. You have no idea how much love that they have for you, for what you do for them. So thank you very much. Dwelling on that same point, what did you have to unlearn while you were like coming back up?
I had to unlearn being hard on myself, probably. So while I don't do things for myself, like, my God, I'm like really harsh critic of myself. And you can get kind of caught in these like little thought loops of negativity or replaying these circumstances in your mind.
Yeah.
So I had to unlearn that aspect of it, because when you get into those moments, they kind of tend to stick with you.
Yeah.
And if you let them stick with you, you never progress at all. And so and I'm like an obsessive person in a lot of ways. So when things happen like that, I can get stuck on them. And so I had to learn to let things go, basically. And usually whatever it is, I make way bigger in my head than it actually is in the real world. Whenever I fall down or I'm in a circumstance where I feel like I need to get up off the mat, most of it is like, okay, I'm up off the mat. I got to stop thinking about how I ended up on the mat and just move on and not dwell on it. And that's not to say you don't learn from the experience, but there's only so much that you can learn.
I would agree. Moving on is hard, is what you're saying. A lot of people actually get stuck in the past and they choose not to move forward because they're looking back. I totally agree.
Yes, they just can't get out of their own way.
Exactly right. While you were trying to fight your way back, what did you lose permanently, and maybe you miss it?
On one hand, I always feared death. But on the other hand, when you're growing up, when you're in your early 20s and, you feel invincible and you feel unstoppable. And when you're a professional, when you're early in your career, you feel the same. Until you have that moment, you just kind of feel like nothing that you do can go wrong in a sense at times.
Right.
And that was me. When I went through my cancer, that took my invincibility away as a person. I was like, I can do anything, nothing will hurt me. And every kid goes through that kind of, right? And that's kind of coming of age type of stuff, but it was a little bit harder for me because of the circumstance. And if I had one thing to say to people in the world, it's okay to be flawed.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it sounds really simple, but I think everyone goes through life trying to be this perfect picture.
Yeah.
And everyone puts on a front about it and creates these personas that exist in professional life or in their personal lives. And nobody is that way. Everyone is flawed. And that's what makes us human. And so, and I think if people would understand that and realize that and expect that of each other a little bit more, this world would be a lot easier.
I would agree. Yeah.
So that's what it would be if I were to make it a very simple statement.
Well, awesome. Matt, thank you very much once again for the valuable words that you've spoken. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people around geographies. You're a survivor. You're a fighter. I've seen you fight for yourself, fight for your team first. And I wish you best of luck with your career. Thank you very much for being such an amazing friend and a colleague. So may God bless you.